So it was a daunting task when you started realizing all the people that you were responsible for. The most important people that I'm responsible for, and I owe my job to, and I work daily to make happy as best as I can, are those 31 colleagues. We are fortunate in this circuit to have some of the best that you will see across the state. As you heard from my dossier, I have the pleasure of working with numerous judges throughout the state, and I'm always so glad to come home because I get to see those 31 people spread across our 3 counties. Not to mention the senior judges that we have, Judge Adams, Judge Brunell, Judge Hayworth, Judge Goldman. I know I'm forgetting some, and I apologize. I also have this responsibility. I've got to make sure that the bar is happy. So as far as I'm concerned, I have 31 colleagues. I have a whole bar here, Sarasota, and sort of in DeSoto, that I'm responsible for, keeping the lines of communication open. And then I have the whole community. So when I make decisions, these are all the people that I'm trying to make the best decision that I can make for. And finally, the persons that I have to report to immediately, the Supreme Court of Florida. This is the rule that applies, as I said, to the chief judges. And I'm going to go over with you what Florida Rule of General Practice and 2.215 actually says I have to do. Because I think sometimes we don't know that I have to work within the parameters set up by the Supreme Court. But it is pretty broad. So the first is I have to direct the formation and implementation of policies and priorities for operation of all the courts and officers within the circuit. I have to exercise administrative supervision over all other judges and court personnel within this circuit. Be responsible to the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court. I have the authority to require that all judges of the court, other court officers, and court personnel comply with all court and judicial branch policies, administrative orders, procedures, and the administrative plan. This one is, I think, here twice. This is the second time. Maintain a liaison with the judicial administration of the matters with the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court. We kind of had that before, so they're really meaning that. Consider all available resources to ensure the efficient, proper administration of all courts within the circuit. Regulate the use of those court facilities. Regularly examine dockets of the courts under its administrative supervision and require reports on the status of the matters on dockets. We're seeing that one starting to be fleshed out. This is the rule that we're seeing all the changes coming under the civil rules that we're going to have. To me, this is one of the most daunting ones that I'm having to figure out how to incorporate. So that's going to be the 60-day rule for the judges to rule. Then by July 30th of 2025, that's the last business day, we're going to actually have to start reporting on the judges. So as a chief judge, I have to start reporting names, case numbers, etc., to show that we're keeping up with the rules. When they have decided that to help move cases along, they gave us these different tools for case management. They also started watching us because they've given us these tools for case management. I have to develop an administrative plan that shall be filed with the Supreme Court and shall include an administrative organization, promote disposition of cases, assignment of judges, other court officers, and other court personnel, control the dockets, regulation and use of the courtrooms, and mandatory periodic reviews of the status of inmates in county jails. And it must be compatible with the development of the capabilities of the judges in such a manner that each judge will be qualified to serve any division, thereby creating a judicial pool from which judges may be assigned various courts throughout the state. What could happen, and this is why we rotate, is because a judge here could be plucked by the Supreme Court to serve elsewhere, and you can't say, I don't know how to do that. It's my job to make them prepared that they could survive that type of change in environment. Like, okay, I got what I'm supposed to do, but how does all that happen? Well, what I decided to do, and I literally sat down and did it, as you can imagine, I went ahead and I said, I'm going to do some steps. So the step one is I need to understand who was the who, what, where. Step two, I had to understand our funding. Step three, I had to know numbers, and more numbers. And step four was to assemble a great team. So I'm going to go through those steps with you in a little bit more detail. Understanding the who, what, where. So this is the state of Florida. And as you heard, I was appointed to work on the consolidation committee, as we called it, going throughout the state, getting feedback about whether or not the 20 circuits should be somehow combined to be less. I'm happy to report today that we still are the 12th. We were one of the circuits that were sort of being watched. Whether or not we were going to join the 6th, whether or not we would be going down to the 20th, there was discussions that we were there. But I'm glad to report that that did not happen. The other thing I want to let you know is that we consist of 3 counties. And the reason that's important is we have other constitutional officers that I share the collaboration with. And in Manatee County, I'm dealing with the sheriff on a constant basis. I'm liaisoning with the court clerk, which is Ms. Coloniso. In Sarasota, I have Sheriff Hoffman and Karen Rushing. And in DeSoto, I forget it, Minnie, we call her Minnie, and the Sheriff Potter. Each one of those persons is an independent elected officer. Each one of those persons owns their responsibility to their people, their employees, their job description as it's provided under statute and law. We are very fortunate in this circuit that we've had a good collaboration. I'm very lucky. This morning alone, I had a meeting with the sheriff's office. We came to a resolution instead of a fight. Ms. Coloniso's office meets with me on a regular basis. Sometimes she's mad at me, sometimes I'm mad at her. But on the most of the time, we're a good collaboration. I deal with the state attorney's office because they're an very important part of what we are. I cannot drop a rock in the water without hitting the state attorney, the public defender, the clerk's office, the public, you, government attorneys. I'm just trying to let you know that any decision I make, I'm not making out of a knee-jerk reaction. I am truly trying to consider all the people that ripple effect is going to have. The other thing I think is important about this slide is if you look, we are designated in this state of Florida in our circuits by small, medium, large, and extra large. I've given you an idea of how those are broken down. We are, if you look at it by filings, a small medium circuit. Helps out sometimes. We get some things that the medium circuits would get. Unfortunately, a lot of times we're missing out on stuff also because they think we have more than we have from our counties. Because our counties are small. Which means they don't have as much revenue to share with us. So let me go ahead and the next slide is what I had to learn about who's, where, what. This is the Florida Supreme Court. As it was indicated, I deal with the Chief Justice, and I am his liaison. In addition, we have in the Supreme Court, we have things called councils, commissions, court committees, steering committees, work group, task force, and others. If you can see these ones here, these are the ones that are presently in place. I chair, fortunately, the trial court performance and accountability. So one thing nice about that I find is that I kind of get a foreshadowing of what's on the horizon. with interpreters, with expert witnesses, with court reporting, with finances. And why do I say finances? Because it gets me a seat on the Trial Court Budget Commission, who controls the purse strings. So I get to be on that as an ex officio member, and my TCA is our nominated member. So we both get to be sitting at the table at the Trial Court Budget Commission meetings. Now let me tell you, that doesn't mean I get a dime more. Because when I'm doing that job, our jobs are to consider the good of the entire state. It's not just to consider what would be best for the 12th. But it is nice to have that forethought of being able to see what is it that's coming next that I need to prepare for. This is the 227 employees that we have in the 12th Judicial Circuit. Right now, I'm the chief judge. I have 21 circuit judges, and I have 10 county judges. I was talking to 3 of the county judges the other day, and I said I like the circuit judges better in some regards. And why is that? Because I can move them around. I can't move the county judges any further than the borders of their county. We can do it temporarily, but we're not supposed to do it permanently. But all of them are vital to making sure that we go. I also have an acting chief judge, which is Judge Mercurio. And I have administrative judges in all 3 counties. Administrative judge here in Manatee is Judge Mercurio. My administrative judge in Sarasota is Hunter Carroll. And out in DeSoto, it's Judge Don Hall. I also have county judge, administrative judges to help me have the boots on the ground. But this gives you an idea of how many people, when they said other court personnel, so in addition to the 32 judges, their JAs, and the 227 other employees that the chief judge is responsible. I will tell you, in addition, the chief judge is responsible for instructing the bailiffs, except for how to do their job, where they have to be. Funding. We are made up of numerous sources. In the state of Florida, we get money from the legislature. The fiscal year runs from July 1st through 30 June. That's the fiscal year for the state. What we do with the budget for state is we do what's called a legislative budget request. So right now, the TCBC is gathering. We are starting to have the meetings in which we are designing the legislative budget request for the next fiscal year. Simultaneously, we're deciding how to spend the money that we were given from the legislature for this fiscal year. So it's kind of a circle, the budget. Soon as we get done with the preparation of the legislative budget request, we get the money, we start spending it, we then have to start creating the next one. It's a constant circle of what do we need next? Of course, right now, the need is for technology and case managers. There's always a need for due process. In this last legislative budget, we got about 50% of the case managers we wanted, and we got 50% of the court reporters that we wanted. We were disappointed about the case managers, so we're hoping that when we go to the TCBC meetings, we can come up with other creative ways to come up with those funds. Florida Statute 29004 provides that state funds are to be for the judges, which we have 32, the court reporters, which we have 5, expert witness fees, the magistrates, court administration. As far as the court administration, that we have full-time employees. There are some employees that we have within the 12th Judicial Circuit that are county employees. Manatee County, I think it's 9, and in Sarasota, it's 48. And so in addition, we have to pay for they pay for mediators, judicial assistants, interpreters, which we have 4, law clerks, hearing officers, and case management. So those are the funds that come from the state. I already explained to you that DCBC is the one that determines the budget. So after we get allotted the money from the legislature, it's TCBC who gets to allot it to the different circuits. And they do it through there's a methodology to it. It's called the Funding Methodology Committee. And it ties back to what I said earlier about the small, medium, large, and extra large. County. We get funding for all 3 counties. This has been my month to go around to every county and beg. For the fiscal year for counties, it runs from 1 October through 30 September. I begin the budget prep with February through March, and they are under a different statute, that's 29008, that provides county funds must be related to functions for facilities, utilities, maintenance, security, communication systems, wiring, computer networks, courier services, local requirements, and specialty courts. What you're seeing right now in the different courtrooms with us being able to upgrade the courtrooms is due to Manatee County giving us those funds and Sarasota giving us funds there. We are hopeful that we are going to continue to be able to do that at a rate of 2 to 3 courtrooms a year, as long as the funding that we proposed, again, keeps coming. I would love to be able to say I could do it immediately, but we just don't have that funding. So, the total budget for the and I have it for fiscal year 23 through 24, is from the state, we received $1,595,685. This represents 0.65% of the state budget. Anybody shocked by that? That's all the judicial branch gets. The judicial branch, the total state budget for 24-25 was $116.5 billion. The judicial branch receives $741.3 million, which, as I said, I calculated is 0.65%. Manatee County, I correct myself, including salaries for 8 full-time employees, we were awarded $1,578,773. That's what we get from Manatee County. Now, I will tell you, we are under what is called the Justice, and we share that with the Sheriff's Office, we share that with the State Attorney, the Public Defender. Of that money, I think it's like 249, it's in the answers, $249 million that gets awarded. We get 0.7%. The Sheriff's Office, because of what they have to do to protect us all, gets about 85%. Just to put it on perspective. In Sarasota County, we get $7,090,045. This includes FTEs for 49 employees. We run the pretrial service program in Sarasota. They fund it. Here in Manatee County, the difference is we have the probation office, county probation runs our pretrial services. So that's the major difference between the 2 counties as far as the amount that we get. Finally, in DeSoto, we have 4 FTEs and we get $289,662. That's our funding. So I sit down with Kim Miller after we get our numbers and we start deciding how to best allocate our funding to make the best efficiency out of our courts to serve the persons that enter our building. So numbers, numbers, and numbers. I kind of went through some numbers, so this is sort of a cheat. But numbers, numbers, numbers in my world is constantly looking at filings. We are going towards, in this state, what's called uniform case reporting. The clerk's office is probably pulling out their hair. They allegedly have a deadline date of December 31st, 2024, which is the drop dead date that we're supposed to be able to upload every case to the OSCA. So then when we want to have our own data, we can say, what does Judge Hunter Carroll have in Sarasota County? And we're supposed to be able to get that information based on certain points. It has been in the work, though, for 10 years, so it has taken a long time to get to even where we are now. We are boarding the information almost exclusively across civil. Family is starting to get up. The one that we're a little behind is the juvenile and criminal. Those numbers are so valuable for me because I have to be able to see the trends. So I typically, based on what I learned at the state level, is get the 3-year figures. And then I try to decide, okay, I made a huge change this last year. My first year out of the boat, I started really making alterations. I sent a county judge down to South County in Venice when we had only ever had one. I also sent half of a circuit judge down there because the numbers warranted it down there. It is growing crazy in Venice area. Thank God we have that new courthouse that the Sarasota County Commission helped us build. The other Manatee County is also growing. We sort of have more of a plateau in North County, Sarasota right now, but I'll keep watching it. We also have different divisions where the numbers go up and they go down. One is juvenile. Some years it's really high in dependency, and sometimes it's really low depending on the policies of the department. So we make adjustments. We try to figure out what it is. So those numbers are something I'm watching on a constant basis. If you come in my office, it'd be unusual for me not to have paperwork around my desk trying to work myself through the numbers. And then fourth, assemble a great team. I have a great team. What I did when I became the chief judge, I knew I had to have help. I did not think I had wanted to be a dictator. So I assembled a team of senior administrative judges with Judge Mercurio, Judge Carroll, Judge Inman, Judge Aaron, because he does a problem-solving court, Judge Usabel, Judge Quartermain, Judge Brewer, Judge Hall, and Judge Flowers, that we meet on a monthly basis so that I can make presentations to them and listen to their feedback. A lot of times it's just me talking, but I do think it's important for them to know what I'm seeing so that they can give that information to others. I also hope that at all times my door is open so that the other judge can come and talk to me. But those meetings are hugely important to me. And then I have sort of a side gig, and it's called going to Judge Williams's office. So I have my senior administrative judges, then my side gig going to Judge Williams saying, you've had this job before. What do you think about this situation? So I do get that feedback back also. So what does my day look like? That's what my learning curve was. My day looks like this. I could have all these things happen in one day. Having the people come in my office and be able to feel like they can throw themselves down on my couch and tell me, even if I'm not even paying attention to them, what's going on in their life that's making them miserable. I'm usually trying to pay attention to them. I'm being facetious. I'm very grateful to have this job. I think that it is the aspiration of everything else I wanted to do in my life. And I'm one of those few people that is going to be able to say, I got exactly what I wanted out of my career. And I'm only 63, so who knows? But it is truly an honor and daunting to be the Chief Judge of the 12th Judicial Circuit. And right now, I'll take any questions you have. Hopefully it's in that notebook. If anybody has any questions. Yes?
So what percentage of which?
So one of the other things about the time study that we just did, so we get certified based on our time study, it's case weights. The only way I can answer that for you is I am supposed to dedicate, as a chief judge, 1.5 hours a day to some type of division work. That's not true. And it's based on the number of circuit judges you have. Not county judges for whatever reason, but the number of circuit judges. So at a minimum, so that we get a bump of 0.75 FTE on the time study in the 12th Judicial Circuit, I have to cover a docket at least 1.5 hours. I have my docket that I'm doing about, I'd say 25 hours in court that's available. It has to flex because of need for everyone else if I'm covering things like that. Yes, sir.
Judge, on one of the slides, I noticed more.
Yes, we asked for more and we got one. We just asked for an additional one. It's very difficult. It means we all have to play nice in the sandbox. That's why when you come to court, we will say, one, did you request an interpreter? And let's get it up here now. or we're going to defer to the end all the interpreter cases. One of the interesting facts that I think it's interesting is how many interpretations we've done in the 12th Judicial Circuit, and how many different languages we've done. Make sure I get it. We have had interpreter events, Spanish interpretations in 2023 of 7,690 events. Manatee, the 12th Judicial Circuit, to let you know, is the only circuit other than the 5th that provides interpretation for every division. You may have to wait, but we will get you an interpreter, because that's what we think of the importance of people understanding what is going on in their case. I think this is interesting. Of our Spanish interpretation cases, 86% are in criminal. And this is, we have provided interpreters in 28 different languages. I implemented a card that we put in the jail because it got we have so many exotic languages nowadays that I saw this in a hospital that showed you all these different languages that we can hold up and say, I speak this one. We're hoping they would recognize at least their language in writing so that we get on. We're definitely going to have to go towards some other type of interpretation, whether that's going to be through something like Language Line, which we have to use quite often, which comes really difficult when you have to cross borders. Anybody else? Yes. Well, we did. Her question is basically about how we're going to deal with the case management, how we're going to deal with the lack of court staff. In 2023, we had our first general counsel promoted from within. We have now 9 staff attorneys. We are not anywhere close with the federal system. In that group, they have done 11,000 research or writing projects in 2023 for the judges. Most of that is in the 3850 area, or the 3851, which is criminal arena. But that's a huge number. But yes, of course we've had that. We also have, I think I put in here, on the average in circuit and county civil case management, they were scheduled each month in 2023 by the case managers we had put together by contract work or part-time, OPS, 650, 500 in circuit each month, and 150 in county. And this number will increase this year and has mostly in counties increasing to 850. We did not, one of the things that we did not get approved for by the legislature, for whatever reason, we asked for the state for 20, I'm pretty sure it was 20 case management technology, and we only got half. So yes, we're trying to figure out how we're going to bridge those gaps. And it's terrifying because, as I said, not only has the case management rule changed, but the judges, the chief judge's role of having to monitor it all. We are very lucky. Judge Sniffen, Judge Carroll, Judge Flowers, I'm trying to think who else is on it, Judge Uzabel, myself. We have a technology committee in Manatee County, in the 12th Judicial Circuit. And so we are able to have stayed ahead of the curve, I think, that a lot, because I've been sharing it with other chief judges, is at least a log that is populated by the judges on their cases in civil, or all judges, I guess. This one applies to everybody. Populate it, and then they will be alarmed. They go to alarm if they're getting close to that 60-day mark. It is able to be accessed by them and their JA with permission, and I can see it. So I can go to every judge and make sure that I don't have to run down the hall, say, get the order out. And we've worked out with Ms. Coloniso's office, Clerk Coloniso's office, that if anybody files a 60-day, you didn't get your order done notice to us, it's equivalent to a speedy trial, and they're going to let me know immediately that one has been filed so I can get that information to a judge also, so it can be addressed. Give them the services they might need. All right? Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Before you leave, we have a very special, one-of-a-kind
Good care. Thank you very much, Judge Borland.
You have to report that as a gift.
Yeah. Okay. So, Aaron, we got a couple gifts, if you don't mind. Thank you very much. It's a little plaque honoring you.
Oh, that's great.
Don't let it go to your head.
Yeah. Thank you, Dustin.
And
Yeah,
then
appreciate it.
this is a photo album of all our events from this year.
Just all selfies of you.
Yeah, you might want to have it.
Yeah.
Get some Kleenexes when you
That's
go
great.
through it.
Yeah. Thank you, everyone, so much. It was an honor. Appreciate it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cheers. Yeah.
Okay. So our next luncheon's going to be Wednesday, September 25th. We're going to have a great guest. This is Carlos Buqueras, if I said that correct. I messed that up? Okay. So he's the executive director of Seaport Manatee, and he'll be our guest speaker. We are adjourned.
Good afternoon, Bradenton Kiwanis. Thank you so much for joining us today. We're very excited to have all you here today. We have an incredible program for us today, so thank you so much for being a part of it. I'd like to call up Pastor Dion Daniels from City Life Church to give our invocation.
Good afternoon. If we could bow our heads and pray. Father God, we thank you for this day that you have made. God, we pray blessing over everybody that can gather today. God, we pray blessing over the Manatee Performing Arts Center that has allowed us to meet regularly. Lord, we pray for every business, every entrepreneur, God, every ministry, every leader represented here today. Lord, the most important thing for us to do today is hear from you. God, your word says that if your people who are called by their name will humble themselves, pray, seek your face, Lord, that you will heal our land, God. So we ask for a touch today. Bless the food, bless Popey's Place abundantly, and we thank you for the leadership of this club, of this gathering that has vision for a better community. We give you all the glory, all the honor, and all the praise. In Jesus' name, amen. Amen. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Pastor. So as we had done this year, this part of the program of going out and finding other pastors and clergymen from around the community to come bring your invocation. So if you have a favorite pastor, or if you have someone you'd like to come bring your invocation, please let Jay Ellis or Mike Baird know, and we can get them on the calendar. So please join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. You can be seated. I'd like to call Sharon Barnhorst up. We have some new member badges we'd like to give out today. So Sharon, come on up and we'll give out some of those badges.
Good afternoon, everybody. Hopefully I haven't missed some of the new members in the room, but I tried to scan around and see who's here today. I think Nicholas Irving is here. I think Kurt Landerfeld is here. I think I saw Debbie Lancaster come in. Did I? So I would like you guys all to come forward and get your official Bradenton Kiwanis new member badge. You don't have to wear the paper. Congratulations.
All right, get a picture.
There you go. All right. And thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Congratulations.
Thank you. Are we in a picture too? You're getting a picture right there with Lemoyne. Thank you.
Glad to have you. Thank you very much. I'd like to call up Rita Smith to do our introduction of guests.
Good morning, good afternoon, everyone. I'm so busy smiling for the camera. Good afternoon, everyone. Guests, when I call your name, please stand so we can give you a warm Kiwanis welcome. Our first guest is Rick Yoakum, guest of Ms. Bliss. Thank you. Next guest is Margie, guest of Tom Segrin. Thank you. Bill Partridge, guest of Andy's.
Hey.
Thank you. Debbie Partridge, guest of Judy's. Dion Danny, guest of Jay Ellis. Thank you. Jane Gerda, guest of Sharon's. Corey Rigney, guest of Ben. Derek Randa, guest of Henry's. And last but not least, Ivy, guest of Sharon. Thank you all for attending today and welcome.
All right, thank you very much. I'd like to call up Christy Haley to do our community service update.
Good morning, everyone. Today's pretty easy in that we don't have anything formally planned. We are working on some ideas with Meals on Wheels Plus to help pack some meals. But I want to encourage each of you that serve on boards, local nonprofits, or work for local nonprofits to let us know how Kiwanis can serve you. We are all leaders here. I know every one of us wants to serve children. That's why we are members of Bradenton Kiwanis. So please reach out, let us know how we can help so we can get you on the calendar and we can set a calendar for the full next year. All right, y'all got that? Share with your friends. I know you're all leaders, so let's make this happen for our kids. Got it? Okay. I'm gonna go finish my cookie now.
All right, and I have a special announcement. I'd like to call up Xtavia Bailey to come talk about a joint project that we're going to be doing with Tiger Bay Club. So come on up, Xtavia.
Thank you, Andy. Like you said, Xtavia Bailey. So I am newer, so if I have not met you, nice to meet you. I'm a past president of the North River, so I love Kiwanis, and I'm very excited to be able to, during the election season, we really want to make sure that you all are informed this election cycle about who to vote for. Yes, we have a presidential race coming up, but it's so very important to make sure that we are voting locally. So what we've done is we partner with Bradenton Kiwanis and Manatee Tiger Bay. I am the president, and so we're inviting you all to all of the elections if you're a Kiwanis member. When you go to the website Manatee Tiger Bay, you're going to see Manatee Tiger Bay member, Manatee Tiger Bay non-member, and then you're going to see Kiwanis. It's zeroed out. You don't have to pay anything when you come in. Just check it. We need to know that you're signing up. And our first election debate is Thursday, June 13th. That is District 72. That is the vacated seat of resignation from Representative Tommy Gregory. And then June 27th will be the Manatee County School Board members. And then July will be our county commissioners. And then we will announce continuation of all the other debates. After the primaries, we will then start scheduling any of the candidates that did not have primaries that automatically go to November. We will match them up also. And each time we have a meeting, all Kiwanis member, you'll see it'll say Kiwanis member, just check it. All we need is your name. Come out and hear these debates. They're going to be really, really good. And I told them, they asked, well, is Janine doing it with you? Because we don't want to come if it's you and Janine. And I was like, wait a minute. So I may do some of the debates, even though it's Tiger Bay, but Janine also does a good job, and this is a joint session, so we can do it together. Thank you.
Over here.
It's gonna be here.
Yeah.
It's here. I'm sorry. Thank you. We meet here also for Tiger Bay. We start at 11:30 for lunch, and then we start at 12 o'clock for the debate, so you could come out and meet the candidates. If they'll be here about 11:15 if you want to meet them. Thank you.
Thank you. So that's in this room this Thursday, the 13th, will be the first one at 11:30, and then the next debate will be on the 27th. So this is something that we felt necessary for a Kiwanis Club. We didn't feel we have enough time for our normal lunches to do a debate properly, and so we partnered with the Tiger Bay Club to make sure you all have the opportunity to hear as many candidates as you like through the Tiger Bay partnership. So thank you, Xavier. Thank you for putting that together. I hope all of you go to that website. Make sure we have the link in the newsletter coming up next week. So make sure Xavier give Mac the link. That'd be great.
If they want to just send the names in to Christy, if we could do that. Or if you guys want to just show up, we'll have a Kiwanis line and we can sign you in. If you walk in too, that would be fine.
Okay, thank you. Did everybody hear that? Oh, Mac didn't hear it. Sorry, yeah. So please just, if you don't have the link or show up, just please show up and be part of that process. All right, so it's my extreme pleasure. I'm very excited to introduce our speaker today. I've known Dr. Cameron Hodgins for a very long time. I apologize. I knew her back when she was Partridge. So I'm very excited to have her today as the Executive Director for the Gulf Coast Community Foundation. Please welcome my friend Cameron up to the stage.
Well, I will start by saying I wish I was the executive director. That's so lovely, Andy. Our executive director's name is Philip Lanham. He comes to us fairly new from Cincinnati. He's been with us a year. I am a director of community leadership. And so what that means is I handle grants. But before I talk about that, I do want to acknowledge my connection to Bradenton and to this group and to a few people in this room. First and foremost of most importance is my parents, the people who brought me here on earth. Bill and Debbie, many of you know them. They moved here in 1972 to a town and community that looked very different from what it looks like today. I remember when I was a little girl, University Parkway ended in 4, maybe 3 diamond-shaped red signs with reflectors on it at I-75, and that was it. So you were either going north or south, definitely not east. When I was 13, so in the early 90s, my parents built a home on Anna Maria Island on North Shore Drive. Anna Maria does not look like what it used to and what I remember. Before I was born, my parents had a child before me, a brother, and his name is Thad, and he was born with Down syndrome and autism, and I have not known life any different. And the reason I tell you that is because he is my motivation and inspiration for what I do and why I give back to community. I know what it's like to have a family member who can't advocate for themselves and have a voice for themselves. And how many of you can relate to that with either a loved one or a family member? Your passion for children, right? I hear you, fund a lot of children's activities, I know that. Same thing. So that brings me here. I went to Abel Elementary and elementary school in Manatee County, and then I finished middle and high school at St. Stephen's. I'm a proud Falcon and appreciate the connection I have with Andy and his family and his children there. St. Stephen's doesn't look like it did when I was there. When I was there, the office was in a trailer, and the middle school was where Christy is with her PACE kids now. And the high school didn't exist. So my, how the community has changed. And good, bad, or ugly, I don't want you to think I'm anti-growth. I'm not. I do like the growth. I just believe in a balance. And I'm really proud to work at an institution that also believes in important balance in the community. So I have to thank somebody else in this room, Ms. Veronica Thames, who is the CEO of Manatee Community Foundation. About 4 years ago, we were still sort of involved in COVID, and the world was weird, and what were we gonna do? And I was sitting on the beach, this would have been in 2019, with my husband in the Grand Cayman, and I had been in nonprofit leadership and management for 15 years in this community, first at Easter Seals, and then CEO of the Glasser Schoenbaum Center in Sarasota. And we're at the Westin in the Grand Cayman, and he says to me, out of the blue, "What's next for you?" And I literally thought he meant, which cocktail am I gonna order next? Because there was a button in between our two chairs, and you push the button and somebody came down and asked you what you wanted. And I thought, I clearly have died and gone to heaven. And so I picked up the drink menu and I said, I don't know, probably like a margarita, that sounds good. He goes, no, professionally, what's next for you? And without missing a beat, I said, I'd like to work at a community foundation. And I'm not kidding, 3 months after I said that, almost to the day, I got a phone call from Veronica, who was at the time at Gulf Coast, and she said, I'd like to meet you for a cocktail. I had no idea what she was gonna talk to me about, but she said, what do you think about joining our team? And I said, well, my goodness, did I put that in the universe a couple months ago on the beach in the Grand Cayman. And so we stayed in contact for 2 years because I had a grant from the Robert Wood Johnson Foundation at Glasser Schoenbaum that I could not leave. If I left, they took the money back. So I begged and pleaded for Gulf Coast to be patient with me, and they certainly were. And thank you, Veronica, for staying with me and for bringing me there. Appreciate you. Okay, so next slide, please. Andy asked me to come and talk about oh, next slide, it's in my control. My 8-year-old was up at 3:30 and 4:30 this morning, so forgive me. We have a new strategic plan called Transforming Together, but Andy brought me here to talk about the foundation and what we do and how we support our community. We technically, like on paper, don't have Manatee County in our verbiage. However, we do support a number of nonprofits that reside in Manatee County because they also serve Sarasota County residents. So that list, a short list, is Easter Seals, Oyster River Ecology, Minorities in Shark Sciences, Take Stock in Children, Parenting Matters, and Mothers Helping Mothers. And I know there's more of you in this room. I see Pavitra from Goodwill. We support Goodwill. So any of the organizations that sort of straddle both counties and serve children and families in both, we do support. We tend to support. So Transforming Together is our new strategic plan. It is a 3-year plan of how we're going to increase our assets and serve the community. Our mission, together with our donors, we transform our region through bold and proactive philanthropy. We're really proud of that bold and proactive piece. We do like to take risks. If you come to us and you say, we have this crazy idea, we're not sure it's gonna work, but here's what we think the outcome's gonna be, we are in. We wanna hear more. We know we need creative new solutions to lingering and new problems, right? How many of you have heard Larry Thompson speak from Ringling College? You ever heard Larry speak? Right. So usually he says creativity is going to be the way forward in our world. And I think he's not wrong. I think there's a lot to be said about that. We need to think about problems in new ways, and we certainly need new solutions. We envision what we do by providing thriving communities with opportunities for all. And our core values are integrity, leadership, collaboration, and excellence. So if you put those letters in different orders, it spells lice, and that's how I remember it. That's a little inside baseball. So my team helped me prepare these slides, and I do believe this is true. The notion of a community caring for its own is written in our DNA. We were founded in 1995. Does anybody know how and where? So what makes us different from the community? Yeah, you're not allowed to answer. Yeah, you know, go ahead. What was it? That's right. The sale, Bon Secours owned the Venice Hospital at the time on the island of Venice when you go over the bridge from 41 there. And the corpus of that sale formed the corpus of our endowment in Venice in the early 90s. So that's, we're unusual in a way, and I'll get there in just a second, but now we have over 850 philanthropists that call Gulf Coast home. And over the time since 1995, we've granted out $550 million. Now here's what gets people really bent out of shape when I say this. $550 million, you know what my answer is to that? You know what my response is to that? So what? My CEO doesn't really love that, but what I mean is, what difference did it make? All of us that are in this philanthropy business, all of us, whether you're Bill Gates, you're Warren Buffett, what difference have you made in your community and how do you measure it? How do you know? You know, if Boys and Girls Club tells me 100 kids showed up for summer camp, please pay for summer camp. That's great, and I want to serve 100 kids, but what difference did having summer camp in their life make versus not having summer camp, right? So in general, there are 4 operating models of community foundations. How many of you feel like the train, feel like sort of community foundation is like the wizard behind the curtain? Do you feel that way? I do. I did before I worked for one. Kind of like, how does this work? Is there mystery to it? There's really not. There's really not. There's 4 operating models. One is donor focused with donor advised funds and designated funds. So for our friends at the Community Foundation of Sarasota, this is largely where they play. They were founded by a group of donors. We have that endowment pool, right? Kind of that slush fund that we're able to use the growth of to turn grants out, and we have donor advised funds. You could be grant focused, where all you do is really, you have unrestricted funds and field of interest funds. Now, what's a field of interest fund? Say Bill and Debbie came to me and said, we want to give you $500,000, but we only want to support puppies in Africa, okay? That's a field of interest fund. We really try to discourage those kinds of funds because, as you can imagine, they're hard to give out, they're hard to administer, they don't really serve community, right? But we do have donors that have this very specific, you know, entity or system that they want to support. Then you can also be a fiscal agent. We are doing that right now. I mentioned Oyster River Ecology Group. Damon is coming to talk to you guys in a couple weeks. And we are a fiscal agent for a new environmental incubator in town in Sarasota on Mound Street above the blood bank. 7, I don't know, Dad, maybe they're up to 10 now, organizations are gonna live in that environmental incubator space, basically a co-located shared workspace for environmental organizations, hopefully to co-write grants together and have a greater impact in the environment space. So we're serving as a fiscal agent for those organizations to pay their rent money to us and grow the fund, and then we will pay rent back to the blood bank collectively. You can be a pass-through. Fundraising funds are often held with us for organizations that aren't quite ready to open kind of a bigger savings account. And then of course, an agency can have a fund with us and use it as a savings account and partner in our endowment growth, get the benefits from that type of growth. And then a leadership model, which is something that Gulf Coast definitely is. When I talked about that risk-taking and we're willing to sort of be a lead on maybe a new idea, we love to do that. Many of you know my boss, and many of you in this room know my boss, John Thaxton, is a former county commissioner in Sarasota, and he is a renegade and a trailblazer in largely in environmental actions, but also in affordable housing. And he's really kind of willing to try anything, and I enjoy working in a collaborative space like that with him. Every 2 to 3 years, we commission a regional scan, and we bring about 140 to 170 people together from our community. Not all the people that you would think. We really try to cast a wide net in socioeconomic status, race, diversity, all walks of life. We even had children participate this year, youth, teenagers. And we look at trends, we look at what they say, and what does the community think are our biggest challenges. We've done this for 14 years. I took a look at our regional scans throughout the years to see which topics kind of bubbled to the top across the 14 years. And the only topic that came in 100% of those 7 scans across 14 years was the environment. And of course that made John Thaxton very happy, right? But I find the environment right now to be a topic of neutrality in a very partisan world that we're living in. Everybody, especially in this region, especially in this community, wants to talk about how we do better for the environment and for the community that we're living in. A real opportunity there. 86%, so 6 out of 7 youth in the workforce development, health and human services or mental health. And then 71% of the time civility or civic engagement came up. And housing and transportation and economic development, surprisingly at the bottom. Now, housing is a really hot button lately and has been in the scans in the past 6 years, consistently. On the right side there, I just kind of plugged in who's really responsible for this work. So my CEO asked me to do that because when we look at who are we funding to help, who are our main partners in moving marbles on these things, this is who came to mind. Health and human services, mental health, a little bit tricky in Florida. As most of you know, we have not expanded Medicaid in 15 years. So the community foundations and foundations take a large chunk of that need, including the Florida Blue, their foundation. So health and human services and mental health is largely supported in the state of Florida by our charitable organizations. So this year, our most recent regional scan, our priorities are in icons here. So on the left, affordable housing. And we do say affordable and not attainable. There's a reason why. Water quality and green space. During the, 2018, the bad red tide outbreak, we saw significant economic impacts from that issue and a lot of conversation about how do we stop that from happening again. I think I just saw in today's Sarasota Magazine that Moat just received a multi-million-dollar grant to, look, somebody's nodding their head in the back, thank you, to really study more of the bloom and the issues contributing. We now have very clear data that run off from the Okeechobee, from the sugar system into Okeechobee, into the Caloosahatchee River, is coming north and is contributing to our outbreaks. And we were about to update our water quality playbook, which is something online, to show that this data is quite clear. And then mental health. We know that youth, most importantly, were affected during the COVID lockdown, during the pandemic lockdown, in not having fantastic mental health outcomes, as well as just a continued tension in our country and people trying to figure out how to navigate into happiness again. So this is important because this is a little bit confusing. Our focus areas have always been those 5 pillars in the white box: arts and culture, civic and economic development, education, environment, health and human services, okay? What our regional scan said was of those 5, these 3 at the top were really where we should focus over the next 2 or 3 years. Now, fun stuff at the bottom, invest in Incredible, I'm gonna talk about that in just a minute, and then disaster relief. But disaster relief, that is flexible for us at any time and any need. And that endowment pool that I mentioned earlier gives us that flexibility to be nimble with dollars post a hurricane. After Ian, we had the first grant out the door in 24 hours, $50,000 to All Faiths Food Bank immediately. So if there was a silver lining in COVID, COVID taught us how to move money quickly with little approval from our board or streamline approval by email right now, get the money out the door. So we were able to do that post Ian, and knock on wood, we won't have to do that this year, but you never know. So I mentioned I was gonna go back to that Invest in Incredible piece there. It says ongoing capacity building for the nonprofit sector. So questions for you: do you work for a nonprofit? Do you support a nonprofit? Do you serve on a board? Do you wanna serve on a board? Raise your hand if that is a yes. I know there's more hands than that, yes. Okay, so the bottom says invest in your success. So we support a program called Invest in Incredible, I3 for short, I and a 3, and this information is on our website. We offer classes about building your board development, leadership, PR, all kinds of things. You name it. We did a financial spreadsheet class the other day, crisis communications. If you as a board member want to take one of these classes, or you work with staff of a nonprofit to take these classes, please do. Sign up for our newsletter at the bottom of our website, and you'll get information on these classes and when they become available. Some of the institutes, so we have Leadership Institute, Board Institute, I always forget the third one, Veronica. Leadership Board, Executive Institute. They are on a semester rolling basis. So they're offered once a semester or once a year. Those institute classes are usually 4 Fridays in a row, 4 to 6 hours each, but they're best practices in nonprofit management. There it is, capacity building workshops and resources. Oh, I didn't mention our consultants. This is our biggest, probably our most popular piece of this. We have a cadre of consultants, about 14, who have various professional backgrounds, both retired and employed, who will work with your nonprofit one-on-one for a fee. They come up with a plan, and then we pay 50% of the fee. The organization pays 50% of the fee. So this can be a fundraising plan, bylaw review, you name it, we can help you. We've done mergers. That's the big scary M word in nonprofit world. Mergers, acquisitions, divorces in nonprofit world. We've done those too. So we will take on some highly complex issues that nonprofits deal with. We had a 31% increase this year in requests through I3. And I get a phone call probably once a day, once every other day from somebody in our community who wants to start a new nonprofit. I'm like, don't say it. And so what I do is encourage them to meet with people like you all to learn about what's going on in the community first for children's services or what it is, whatever it is. And then my next thing I tell people who say, I want to start a nonprofit, I say, do you work full time? Yes, I do. Be prepared to quit your job. What? That's what it's going to take. Right? And so part of my goal with Invest in Incredible is to professionalize, to elevate what it is like to run or be involved in a nonprofit. It's no joke. It's just like Andy being at Merrill. I mean, it's the same kind of need and attention and cultivation and development and raising money and raising clients as any for-profit business. So for those of you that sit on nonprofit boards, treat your staff as such. Pay them livable wages. Make sure your fundraising is where it needs to be so that your staff is well compensated. This type of work is no joke. I jokingly say, we're in the business, we are hope dealers. We deal in hope. That is not a commodity that you can put a number on, but it is priceless. It is what we as humans thrive on. It's what makes us better people. It's what makes us a better community. Hope. So when you're on a nonprofit board, keep that in mind and do what it takes to really elevate the sector and elevate the organization that you're supporting. If you have any questions, I don't know if I can take any now, or these are 2 QR codes where you can learn more about Gulf Coast and learn about our philanthropy team. If you'd like to partner with us, let us know. I have my contact information here and happy to speak with any of you afterwards or by email. Yes, Mac.
I just want to thank you for supporting the Oyster River Ecology Damon Moore Group. They're trying to repopulate oysters out in Manatee River and other locations. And he came out to our Cub Scout Day Camp last week. We had 59 kids from 7 to age 10 and about 24 adults that were out there. We built vertical oyster gardens, which are on these spikes and putting the oyster shells on top of each other. He was hoping to get 1,200 of those things made. He made 1,562 in less than 45 minutes. So it was a great little program. The kids loved it, the parents loved it, and we may have an opportunity to do that too after he has our talk with us in September. So thank you.
Yeah, just to piggyback on that, we had Damon and his oysters and the ropes and everything at our Better Together event on State Street this year, and the kids loved it, including my daughter, to string those oysters. I think my dad did one, and it's so fun, and it's a really tangible way to show children that they are actually going to give back to the environment in a positive way. Thank you. Oh, stay here.
As tradition with Kiwanis, I want to present you with
I was about to get whacked.
our golden ruler to measure your future success.
Oh, thank you. How fancy.
Oh, yeah. All right, thank you all for coming. Next week, we're going to have our board meeting in here next Wednesday at noon. If you can join via Zoom or in person, we'd love to have you. We'll have another meeting next week. Otherwise, have a great day. We'll see you soon.
Good afternoon. I want to welcome you to Manatee Tiger Bay. My name is Xavier Bailey, and I am the president and moderator. Would you please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? Mr. Wright, would you come up and lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Before I lead us into pledge, I want to remind everybody that tomorrow, June 14th, is Flag Day. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you so much. You may be seated. Also, we do like to recognize our veterans and any active duty members in the audience. If you are a veteran, please stand up, or an active duty member. Thank you so much for your service. Today, we will be doing our first debate of the year in the primary for August with District 72. This is actually the seat that Tommy Gregory will no longer be in because he has gone on to State College of Florida. So we are very excited to hear from the people that said that they can do the job. And first, I would like to go over, before they come up, their bios. We have Attorney Richard Green. Richard Green moved to Florida in 2015 with his wife Caitlin and son Mason. Since that time, they have added their family and son Oliver and daughter. While living in Manatee County, Richard participated and graduated from Leadership Manatee, amongst a host of other things that I'm going to let him say. And so we also have Alyssa Gay. Please give Richard a round of applause. We also have Alyssa Gay, who was also born in Manatee County, graduated from State College of Florida, also attended the University of Florida. Our participants will have 2 minutes to introduce themselves, so I will let them also say what they need to say once they come up. We also have Colonel Tatum. He's a distinguished graduate of the United States Air Force Academy. Colonel Tatum had an extensive 30-year military career in the United States Air Force as a pilot. We will also allow him to come up and speak for his 2 minutes. Please give him a round of applause. And we have Bill Carnley. He is the husband, father of 3 civil engineers. He's a civil engineer, veteran, lifelong Republican, and 5th-generation Floridian, and very grateful American. we are also going to hear from Mr. Connerly. So all of our candidates will be opening at 2 minutes. We will then go into the questioning. They will have 1 minute to answer all the questions. If another candidate also calls out another candidate, you will have 30 seconds to rebuttal whatever that candidate is. And if it's something that you do want to elaborate on, just let me know, raise your hand, and I will also give you the 30 seconds to be able to elaborate. At the end, there will be a 1 minute closing, of course, why are they running and why you should vote for them. If we have time, and I'm going to make sure there's some time for some questions, you will go to the middle of the room. Matt, please raise your hand. He will be standing there once the questions are available. You'll line up to the left of my side, and we appreciate it. So get your questions ready. First, we will have Attorney Green. You have 2 minutes. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Xavier. Thank you for everyone for being here today. And it was my attempt to be the best dressed today. However, this gentleman has probably the best shirt I've seen ever. Dads Against Daughters Dating Democrats. So shout out to that one. So yes, I am Richard Green, and I am a father of 3, a husband to my wife Caitlin, who's here today. My daughter Mila, we adopted her in August of last year, and then shortly thereafter, in January or February, we got a puppy named Jasper, and then I decided to jump into this race. So clearly, I have my head screwed on straight. So it's been a lot of fun thus far. But I'm an environmental litigator with Lewis, Longman & Walker. I've been with the law firm since 2016, and since that time, I've been dealing with issues of environmental permitting, things on the coast, water issues, just general environmental and real estate matters. But also I've been dealing with a lot of agricultural issues since that time. And that's probably one of the biggest reasons why I decided to get into this race, because District 72 is mostly agriculture east of 75. And so that voice, those issues are something that I believe needed to be in this race, needed to be represented in Tallahassee. But the other thing that brought me into this race is my children and our family. Basically, everything changed in 2020. All of industry is now different. My area is different. The population here is very different. I'm sure a lot of you all remember back before then, this was a rather normal place to live. And then everybody started coming here. And development is one thing, but all of the issues have been changed since that time. And my concern is that if we continue allowing things to go regularly, by the time my children grow up and they want to get a job and start a family here, they won't be able to do it. They'll have to go to some other market just to make a living. And so my goal is to bring a new perspective, new energy, new ideas to Tallahassee, such that we can not only deal with the issues we need to deal with right now, but we're paying attention to the ripple effect a generation from now. So with that, I thank you all for your time. Looking forward to it. Let's have some fun.
Thank you so much. I love when you all don't take up all the time. It's so amazing. Next, we'll have Alyssa Gay. Please give her a round of applause for her 2 minutes. Thank you.
Hello, everyone, and thank you for being here today and taking the time out of your day to become informed citizens and informed voters here in Manatee County. As Xtavia mentioned, I am a native here in Manatee County. I chose to stay here and start my family, build my business here, and make sure that we're contributing to our local economy. Growing up in Manatee County, I learned the values of hard work, patriotism, and service. Today, service is still part of the cornerstone of who I am as a person and my values, whether that has been in church, in business, in community, and in nonprofits. And that is truly why I decided that it was a good idea to jump into this race, is to continue serving our community here for Manatee County. I started my marketing agency in 2017, and I have grown that to a team of just myself, to a team of 12 people, and we serve clients all throughout the country, and it is wonderful to have that. My team is amazing and have been able to allow me to step into this. We have been an award-winning marketing agency since our inception, including winning or being a finalist for the Manatee Chamber Small Business Awards. And also during my time in college, I had the honor of working for now Congressman Greg Steube as a district aide while he was in the Florida House. And that is really what opened my eyes to the efficiency and the effectiveness of the Florida House and the legislature in general, and have always stayed plugged into that, as I believe that is really where we see a lot of the change happen and what happens and what affects our community there. So I look forward to having this debate today and hearing from all of you and getting to speak with you as well.
Thank you so much, Alyssa. Next, we will have Richard Tatum, Colonel, United States Air Force, retired, for his 2 minutes. Thank you so much.
Good afternoon, great Americans. Need a little more from that. Good afternoon, great Americans. There we go. Thank you very much. So listen, here's what I got in my hands. In my left hand, I have my pilot's license. On the back it says, Airline Transport Pilot License. That's the easy life. I can go out right now, work 15 days a month, make $100,000, sit in my house when I'm not doing anything, when I'm off. You go fly your plane, you do it safely, you land, you go back home, big chunk of money lands in your bank account. In my right hand, I have my pocket copy of the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution of the United States of America. And since the age of 18, I've literally taken the oath 8 times to support and defend it. One time as your school board member here in Manatee County, now supporting and defending the Constitution of Florida also. So that's why I'm in office right now. That's why I'm one of your school board members. What we don't remember is right after it says life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness in the Declaration of Independence, it also says governments are instituted among people to secure their rights. And that's why I'm in public office. And that's why I'm not taking the easy life. That's why I take the slings and arrows from the League of Women Voters every time I have a school board meeting when they write up their summary and critique me. That's why I'm responding to emails in my email right now of somebody called Do Your Job, an anonymous email person who's beating me up because we're not using race and gender as we hire people within the school system. So I'm here to protect your rights. I'm here to take the next level. I'll talk about that maybe a little bit more about why I made a very difficult decision to move to the House. There's some things that need to be done up there if we want our taxes to come down, if we want our school system to run more efficiently and effectively. So I'm going to thank you for your time today. I really appreciate the opportunity to be in front of you, and I look forward to our debate today. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you so much. Next, we'll have Bill Connolly. Please give him a round of applause as he comes forward for his 2 minutes.
Thank you very much. I'm Bill Connerly. I'm a civil engineer. I'm a veteran. I've lived in Manatee County now and worked 25 years. I've been in Southwest Florida as a practicing engineer for 27. I worked my way through college as an electrician. I took the opportunity to learn a skill in the Navy and then was able to work my way through college and become an engineer. My area of expertise is actually water resources, treatment, attenuation, floodplain mitigation, compensation. So in addition to that, I've had an opportunity to understand that there are some issues in our district that need some attention. It's not just isolated to District 72. It's actually Southwest Florida and probably all of Florida. These 2 things are infrastructure and housing affordability. I was afraid I wasn't going to be able to come to today's debate because I had a public hearing where we were presenting affordable housing project, and luckily it got approved very quickly, and I was able to make it. But that's been a recent focus of mine, and it's one of the reasons I think I could provide benefit to the district. I have a different set of skills. I'm not an attorney like Tommy Gregory was, but I have a lot of experience, and I feel like I can provide benefit to the process. I think it would be very important to have a technical expert with regard to any opportunity to write rule or regulation, or even the allocation part where we're sending dollars back to the district. So I feel like this can be a benefit. I have confirmed that I would be the only engineer in Tallahassee if I were elected, and what that means is there would be nobody for me to argue with there. So, I really appreciate y'all coming out and listening to us. Like I said, we're lucky to have 4 very conservative people exposing themselves to the process, and I think the differential, the thing that's going to be different is the skills, the experiences, and the things they bring to the process. And I would welcome the opportunity to share those things with you. So thank you very much.
Now, if you all were going to go over my time, that would have been your allotted time to do it. And I'm very excited. And so let me just tell you really quick how we get into our questions. Questions are submitted. We look at what our members and our citizens have questions about. The first question is going to be for Mr. Connerly. All of you will answer the question. I will start with a different person each time. And if you could stick into the 1 minute, I don't want to like pull your suit back there, but if you see me kind of pump up, but I won't want to cut you off, okay? So let's talk about development. Do you feel that the pace of development in the county as well as the state is a good thing? Why or why not? Keeping your answer consistent with your political philosophy. Recently, the county abolished its wetlands buffer requirements and will enforce the minimum standard of the state, which is 15 feet. Do you favor legislation increasing wetlands buffers areas?
I hate to do this right from the very beginning, but the question was not correct. So again, I'm an expert in this. So what Manatee County did is they deferred to the Water Management District. The Water Management District buffer requirements are 25 feet. The Manatee County buffer requirement was 30 feet. So what was decided is that there would be there's no need to have a redundant rule at the county level and at the state level. So what Manatee County had done, and again, the focus has been on the buffer reduction. Manatee County adopted the water management rules and regulations associated with wetlands. So to characterize it as being an amendment to the buffer is incorrect. What is not also acknowledged is the fact that DEP had their rules for water quality ratified last session. So the Senate ratified the DEP